Hey babes, so this is gonna be my YouTube channel, as you already know from the intro and the existence of this YouTube channel. I just moved into a new townhouse. My roommates are sleeping. I really hope they don't hear me, but if y'all hear me, hi. Apologies in advance if I am super freaking awkward in this video because I don't do well on camera. The pressure is on. But let me just introduce myself. My name is Gabby Rivera, but this YouTube channel is going to be called Gabby Talks because Gabby literally means talkative in the dictionary. Look it up. Look it up. Did you look it up? Yeah, I told you. So throughout my life, you know, I've always been told I was a pretty chatty chat person. And my dad, I sometimes would be called Dal or whatever, which is like really annoyingly talkative in Tagalog. So Gabby Talks, because this is the YouTube channel, I said that correctly, the YouTube channel where I'm going to talk my ass off. See my bottle of water right here because we're gonna get talking today, like a lot. Because today's video, which is my first video, before I get into that, actually, let me just do a short description of what I really want to do with this channel. I want to express myself in every which possible way, and also I want this channel to reflect the kind of content I watch on YouTube. That includes everything that was listed in the intro, my commentary, some activism. I think everyone should call each other activists, or, you know, claim to be activists these days, because I feel like people don't do that enough, and I'm pretty sure people are activists without even calling each other activists. So that's another story. That's another time to talk because I'm talkative. Remember, Gabby Talks. So commentary, activism. See, I just got off track. Disclaimer. I'm gonna get myself tested for ADHD, and I generally need to get tested for ADHD. That's probably why I talk so much and have so many sporadic ideas. There it goes. Anyways, commentary, activism, therapeutic music. Hi, sorry to mention, forgot to mention that I also will be doing tarot cards. Tarot card readings. I just did, I should have filmed when I did my first tarot card readings on my roommates. That would have been so great, but unfortunately I did not. I just wanted to include that because that's going to be a very important part of my channel. Back to the video. When I say therapeutic music, it's because I used to be a therapeutic musician in Maryland. I'm now in Virginia for school for music therapy. Two different things. I can explain that in a different video. Yeah, I just love how music can express your soul and help you sustain a healthy mental state, emotional state, help you with your spiritual health, all of that. Mind, body, soul is connected to music, and that's what I like studying, and that's what I like doing in general. So if you want to check more of that kind of stuff out, I have a music page at Gamusika on Instagram, GAMUSIKA. Yes, the socials will also be listed in the intro/outro. I forgot which one, but yeah, and mukbangs, obviously. I love mukbangs. Mukbangs give me joy. It gives me the satisfaction I need. And whoever doesn't like mukbangs just doesn't understand them. I am quoting Bretman Rock. You can't get what you don't understand. That is not what he said. So yeah, that's just gonna be my channel. Like I said earlier, I'm a music therapy student. Perhaps I shouldn't say my school even though it's listed in my Instagram page. I'm just excited for this channel. I'm gonna start this first video off. You know, I feel like most people kind of start their YouTube channels off with not these kind of topics, but I don't care because I feel like this is the kind of video I need to make as my first ever video on YouTube. First ever, even though I've gotten stupid ones. Before I start, I just want to get creds to my besties, my best friends in the entire world. Adriana, she helped me with my intro and outro. She's amazing. She's a great artist. She's studying art and I love her so much. Thank you, Adriana, for helping me with my intro and outro. They're amazing. It looks so good. And then we have Love her. She was like my first ever lifelong friend that I've made, and if I'm being honest, ever since 5th grade. Love her. She is helping me edit my videos. I'm doing the rough cut for my videos, but you know, gonna be helping me with all the other stuff. I would edit my videos myself, but that is not, oh god, I don't know how meticulous I will get about those things. I will literally spend an hour plus to get one cue right. I can't do that on a regular basis, so yeah. And also creds to me for the content, obviously, but also creds to me because you should also appreciate yourself for the work you do. Also, I'm gonna be, if it's not gonna be in this video for the intro, the upcoming videos, I will be adding my own music to the intro. I'm going to just come up with a little Clairo inspired, you know, piano chord vocal thing to go with the beat. So hopefully that'll be in by this video, but if not, look out for that. Let's get actually started with the video because I talk too much. So today we're going to be talking about privilege, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say white privilege or leveraged privilege in the caption, in the title, but we're going to be talking about privilege. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of just the white privilege, which is something that everyone should know by now. I want to assume, I'm pretty sure, and whether you acknowledge it or not, there is white privilege, which is the most profound, the most predominant kind of privilege in our world today. Let's get the Google definition of white privilege. Inherent advantages possessed by a white person on the basis of their race in a society characterized by racial inequality and injustice. And yes, it is classified in the dictionary now, so acknowledge it or not, acknowledge it or not, be dissed or not, because I would die. Anyways, so the way I came up with this idea, my friend Jamie, who's like also a fellow music therapy student with me, she just kind of asked like a group of people to help her with a project she was doing, the course that she is proposing to our PWI, predominantly white institution, to have a course where anti-racism and white privilege is taught in the course, or in, like, you know, the curriculum in general. So I was like, this is amazing, and I contributed to that by saying and defining what white privilege means to me, and I will read that to you right now. What does white privilege mean to you is the question. Having white privilege means that you can have struggles and hardships in your life, but being the primary color and race, being white, will have nothing to do with that. It means that people won't weaponize you because the color of your skin doesn't make you as threatening nor aggressive as a black person's skin. Also meaning you're privileged enough to go about your day and not worry whether or not it will be your last. Having white privilege means someone can look at you without predetermining what you are, what you succeeded, and what you haven't. And in this statement, I was going in terms of having a negative predisposition of BIPOC before even knowing them, reading them, while in opposed to the white population, they will always be assumingly rich, prosperous, and successful in their career, just successful in everything, you know, and essentially they are, because they are giving those resources, they are given that socioeconomic privilege. They've been given that since the beginning of time, since the beginning of this country, since white colonialism invaded the indigenous population in America. Let's go on. White privilege gives you the advantage of being successful in many different ways. White privilege can go as far as minorities who are white passing. They can experience white privilege until it comes down to writing their name on a resume. White privilege is having the same credentials and job experience as a black or Hispanic person and being chosen for the position because their name sounds whiter. You can be you while others cannot. As a white person, you can show up to anywhere in any place at any time without being seen as a threat or feel like nothing towards you will be threatening and you yourself are not threatening. As opposed to BIPOC, there's so many presumptions of them being thieves, being illegal, having Like, it's all goes down to race and identity politics, and that is so important to acknowledge. When you are white, you have this advantage, you have this privilege that others cannot attain because of who they are. You can be without the stereotypes and microaggressions, which hurt a lot more than you think. Let me tell y'all about microaggressions, okay? Okay? That goes a lot with covert white supremacy, which is also what I will get into in this video. Microaggressions can hurt a lot, and I don't think enough people realize that or acknowledge that. It's not fine to call me exotic, stuff like that. It's not fine to touch a black person's hair and think of it as, oh my god, that's so cool, that's so fascinating, that's so weird, shut up. It's not socially correct either. Like, that shouldn't be normal. That should be normalized. That's what I'm saying. Microaggressions are microaggressions because they are normalized. There are bits and pieces of racism and prejudice and biases, racial biases, that is normalized to the point of destructing and destroying the minority's mental space, and it's just not good. Don't do it. Zonzo, baby, zonzo it. You can be without the racial bias and prejudices, discrimination, and hate crimes. You can be without experiencing racism because you don't experience all of those things. That's what white privilege means to me. So we're gonna touch 3 different points that I would personally like to make, because I don't want to say anything general that you can just look up or scroll and see on your Instagram feed. On my platform, I want to go a little bit deeper, have like a little bit of a more introspective view on these things. Not something that, oh, I acknowledge white privilege and I stand as all. No, like these things is what we should do with ourselves. Think about these introspectively with ourselves to learn more about how we contribute to anti-racism, how we contribute to anti-blackness. 3 points. The first one. White privilege means that you can look at my friend over there who is white or white passing, and then you can look at me and want to be friends with the person who is white or white passing. Here's how that hurts. That is also covert white supremacy in its works. It's also Eurocentrism, highlighting and favoring white Eurocentric features, European features, blue eyes, white skin, blonde hair, light colored hair. That also contributes to colorism. So the fact that white privilege is inherently Eurocentrism, favoring just physical appearance, favoring one person over the other because they have paler skin, favoring one person over the other because they have blue eyes and the other has dark brown eyes. That's the kind of thing that actually does trip people up. It's not unknown that BIPOC are denied friendships because they don't look white or they're not white. It hurts. It hurts. I'm not even gonna lie. It hurts. Y'all gotta decolonize your minds. Let's unlearn this Eurocentric ideals and white supremacist ideals. This one point is already covert white supremacy. I'm gonna get that into my 3rd point. That'll be my 3rd point, okay? Second, you can use your white privilege to defend black people. And why I say black people specifically? Because black people suffer the most. Oh, are you getting it now? Because now indigenous people, they have a really deep, sort of unique, not unique because it happens globally, but almost as, pretty much just as severe as black people's dehumanization and oppression. So I just want to make that a known fact. In America, Black people's dehumanization and oppression is highlighted so effectively because it happens on a daily basis, as do Indigenous people, as do POC. But Black people are killed by police every day. Black trans people are killed by police every single day. And that's been how it is since Jim Crow, since slavery. The police force were literally built off of slavery. Look into it. The police force were to regulate slavery, to divide the blacks and the whites. It was to enforce Jim Crow. That was what the police force was for. Look it up. Educate yourselves, y'all. Educate yourselves. Let's use white privilege. Let's use your pale skin, your blue eyes, your blonde hair to defend Black people. Because unfortunately, we are still living in Eurocentric times, favoring these features, favoring these people who has these features. Therefore, listening to these people who has these features, who are these features, okay? You have to, because I'm not white. You have to, if you are white and you are listening to this, if you're watching this, you have to. As a white person, please, if you are able to defend a Black person, if you are able to stand with a Black person in solidarity, which is an overused phrase, but is so important to know. If you are able to stand in front of a Black person while a gun is aimed towards their head by a police officer, please, you are not going to be targeted. You are not going to be killed. You are not. I'm just being real. You are not. You are not going to be killed. And that goes into other topics like reverse racism. Reverse racism is not a thing, because you cannot be on the same level of oppression and dehumanization as BIPOC, as disability folks, okay? You are a white person, and you better start using it to your advantage before we demolish those ideals, because that's what we're ultimately working for. That's ultimately what we're working to take down. These Eurocentric ideals, these white supremacist ideals, the systemic racism that gives you that privilege. This is our duty as humans, as civilians of society, is to better this society. Okay? Now, my third point. White supremacy. There are people in my life, and I'm sure other people can relate, that exudes white supremacy, and in many different ways. But the two main that just goes under every single kind of white supremacist that you have experienced or you have encountered, it goes under covert and overt. Now think of overt as overly white supremacist, okay? Like saying the N-word, saying I hate Black people, saying that slavery should still be alive. Don't you miss slavery? Stuff like that is overt white supremacy, when it's obvious. When it's overt white supremacy is Trump. Let's just leave it at that. Trump is overt white supremacy. Now, covert white supremacy, I feel, is not talked about enough, or people don't know about it, but exists. I'm just saying covert white supremacy exists, but we can't acknowledge it as much as overt because it's not as obvious. They're the subtle little white supremacy things that can happen. Saying slavery isn't a thing anymore. Racism isn't a thing anymore. Yes, it is. Yeah, check yourself. Yes, it is. Check yourself. Yes, it is. That just gets my head. Whites, covert, you could just look up so many examples. I will try to leave a resource down below to provide you information on the differences between covert and overt, and I'm sure you've seen Instagram posts about it. Please read. Please educate and read them, okay? I was told by an acquaintance recently that if you want to be an activist, if you want to make a change, it starts in your home. And I have people in my home, or my previous home, because I have a new home now, which is great because, you know, old home, a little toxic, but that is something I will get into for another time. It's just, I was surrounded by a few people that would enter my home or actually live in my home that can't acknowledge their white privilege, and also cannot see their supremacy and how they express it and how it makes me feel, and how it's so frustrating. And I think a lot of people can relate. It's so frustrating when you can't get through to the people you want to get through to the most. I'm gonna leave it at that because I get triggered every time I talk about that. So, leveraged privilege. This is my own coined term. I know I'm not any professional or any sociologist or identity politician, but I like to think of myself as one. But this is a term that I like to use personally, that I have coined for myself. And, you know, if other people want to use it, that's okay too. Leveraged privilege. Let me just start from the beginning. Let's talk about the Asian model minority myth, because that's why I kind of coined this term together, leveraged privilege. Asians have socioeconomic privilege in white America, and that derives from 1965 Immigration Act that allowed Asian immigrants to come into America with a set of skills, with a set of dexterity, a special talent, a special level of intelligence to gain access to America. And that's how it all started. That's how we are seen as the model minority. And it's harming and so damaging, not to us specifically, but to how we react to movements like Black Lives Matter, to movements like the LGBTQI plus, and it all goes down to that Immigration Act of 1965. This model minority myth about the Asian American community can help us acknowledge how we have contributed to anti-Blackness, not even just within our own communities, but to society. We tend to not respond to Black Lives Matter. We tend to not support Black Lives Matter effectively. We might support our own issues, you know, our own experiences with racism and hate crimes, which are normalized. Don't get me wrong, our hate crimes and racism can be normalized, and the Asian model minority myth is not to minimalize those experiences. It's to highlight our complacency in Black Lives Matter, specifically Black Lives Matter, because we can't deny Asian Americans, Asian communities, Asian immigrants, we have experienced anti-Blackness, whether it be how dark we get in the summer, or saying, look out for that black guy over there because he looks like a thief. Our parents have said these things to us, and we just go along with it, and eventually inherently characterizes us to not stand up for other marginalized groups like Black people. Instances, these murders like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Before, let's even start with Trayvon Martin. You know, I was young, but I knew it was wrong, but I was too scared to speak up. I didn't know what to do but to say that was wrong. Asian Americans seem to be silent and complicit when it comes to Black Lives Matter. And that's something that we need to recognize, because we have that socioeconomic privilege that is not similar to white privilege, but gives us a certain level of privilege in America, leveraged privilege, that roots down to that act of 1965. And that's where it gets even deeper. I'm saying BIPOC who has different levels of privileges, white people who has different levels of privileges, that all can be considered leveraged privilege. Let's say, for example, me as a Filipinx American cisgender woman, I have the privilege to not even acknowledge the LGBTQI plus rights movement. I have the privilege to not acknowledge the Black Lives Matter movement. I have the privilege to not acknowledge indigenous movements. But also, in retrospect, I have experienced my own microaggressions and ableism. You know, I have bipolar and anxiety. I have experienced my own discrimination and racism. So how can I personally combat my certain privileges and my certain non-privileges, my advantages and disadvantages? And I also did a little spiel on my thoughts with the leverage privilege, my little theory, I would say, because I'm not a professional, like I said. But it's like, it also goes for different people, and like a white passing person of color who can experience white privilege to a certain extent, or a black man experiences dehumanization and oppression of a black person but not as a woman, or a light-skinned mixed person experiences lots and lots of microaggressions and experiences lots of racism, hate crimes as well, but due to their light skin tone can't experience as colorism, at least not as much as their dark-skinned counterparts. With that being said, I want to emphasize 3 E's that I have came up with myself. I hope this will be helpful if you want to do something about your leverage privilege, let alone white privilege. 3 E's is: my duty is to empathize, embrace, and empower other movements. Now, when I am talking about these 3 qualities, these 3 E's, I want to put a disclaimer that I will be speaking from my point of view as a BIPOC individual and a Asian American young woman who has experienced ableism. So I just want to make sure that I don't want to speak for other people. I will break down the 3 E's: empathize, or in some cases, sympathize for you white people. For you white folks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. Studies have shown scientifically that if you increase your empathetic nature, because all humans have a natural empathetic nature since they were born, if you increase and enhance your empathetic qualities, that will contribute to society by decreasing racism and creating action. Scientifically proven, okay? Look it up. If you want to change someone's mind, if you want to understand, if you want to help, then you have to empathize. At some level, there needs to be a level of understanding of each side. And that's something I need to work on, because I be like, you're being racist. By the way, racism, I mean, inexcusable. I think we all have a tendency to snap at people once they say something a little bit off, or a little bit that doesn't sit right, which is okay, you know, but it's more productive to create a level of understanding with each other so you can actually progress towards an education, towards a change. And you know, BIPOC has a very similar lens in activism. So the fact that we can empathize with each other on certain levels is powerful, girl. It's powerful, okay? And with a similar lens, we can uplift each other in times of these trials and tribulations, all right? Are you catching what I'm are you picking up what I'm putting down, y'all? Okay, we need to stick together. And even when we can't empathize, even when we can't, I'm talking about white people, if you cannot empathize with what BIPOC goes through, racism, oppression, dehumanization, then sympathize. That also goes into play. Sympathy. Please, like, just say, I can't experience what you're experiencing. I know that you are suffering, but I will support you, and I sympathize, and I stand in solidarity. It's so important to stand in solidarity and to mean it, and to we'll get into it. Empower is the second one. So this E, empower, includes amplifying other marginalized groups. So even if you don't identify with that specific marginalized group, for example, I don't identify with Indigenous people, but I identify with Asian American people. I identify with the mental illness population. But supporting the Indigenous issues helps so much, because what we're doing is amplifying these voices, acknowledging these issues, and centering their these people that are affected by it the most, and that shows other people who don't identify with these groups, that shows them, oh, we can stand up for these people too. It's a huge impact when you can stand up for other people, when you can show up without being affected by it. It shows so much solidarity. I say that so much, but it's so true. It shows other people that they can do it too. It shows that all humans matter, okay? All humans fucking matter. All humans matter. Black lives matter. All humans matter. That sounds wrong. Black lives matter, okay, bitch. That just says enough. That says enough. Okay, last one. Embrace. I say embrace because you're embracing these movements on a daily basis. Once you have gotten the hang of what privileges you have and don't have, you are able to embrace the activist nature. It's a mindset. It's a way of living. This can go as far as supporting abolishing labor exploitation by preventing yourself from purchasing from big corps or consumerism, that helps environmentalists reach their goal. It also comes to play with appreciating the influence and culture of these movements and not appropriating them. It's embracing the movement in every which way, through your body, through your mind, and your soul, girl. This also includes just integrating little things, like I said before, or raising awareness, reposting, educating. What I'm doing, educating, signing petitions, working on specific proposals or projects that'll help humanity in every which way. It's a lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle, being an activist. This is very important when you want to express your compassion for humanity, okay? You can't just focus on the issues going on in your personal minority group. You have to acknowledge the other issues. And being an activist, you can't claim to be an activist if you only vouch for your own issues. That's how I personally think. I think intersectional activists and activists should go hand in hand. I guess this is kind of like how to be an activist, the 3 E's, but also just how to work with your leverage privilege or white privilege. And I'm going to leave a few links down below, resources, not links, but a few resources down below on stuff you can look at and hopefully learn from, because I really believe in the power of knowledge and the power of teaching and educating and learning and shit. So learn, bitch, learn, or else. So that is my video. I know it is hefty, I know it was long, but I know it was needed. I just want to say a big thank you to myself, because no one gave me this idea but myself. But also a big thank you to my best friends who are helping me with this channel, and just a thank you to anyone who's watching this, because I know every voice matters, but sometimes I feel like mine doesn't. I just hope someone can watch this and change their view, change what they think about what's going on in the world today. And that's such an overused phrase now, what's going on in the world today, but there's so much going on in the world today. I hope this helped in some way, shape, or form, and tune into my future videos. I think in my next video I'll be doing a haul and an expansion of my spirituality, also rock reviews, because I love rocks and seashells and I just went to the beach. So stay tuned.